Reset. So, I'm going to call our meeting to order. It is May 23rd, 2017, and this is a business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee. If I could please have everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Blatchford?
Here.
Mrs. Hoskins? Here. Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. McGovern?
Here.
Ms. Stevens? Here. Mr. Schott? Here. And two representatives.
Here. And if you could call the calendar.
Monday, May 29th is Memorial Day. Schools and administrative offices will be closed. Tuesday, June 13th, there's a school committee business meeting at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Next, we have a presentation, special education update.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you briefly this evening. A little bit about special education. I realized as I was putting this presentation together, I really haven't even completed my second year here in North Kingstown, and it's been quite an interesting journey along the way. But I wanted to share with all of you just a little bit about our numbers and statistics, and then some of my thoughts moving forward for the special education department. When you look at our special education services, this is actually data that we present to the Rhode Island Department of Education. What they want to know is that we are serving our children in the least restrictive environment, or what they refer to as the LRE. When we look at our statistics, we actually, and I'll show a pie chart that shows it a little better, most of our students are in that general education setting with support services. We have some students who are in special class programs that I will discuss briefly, just so you have an idea of what we're doing in our schools. Some students are served in non-public special education day schools. Some students are homebound or hospitalized due to the nature of a physical injury or mental health. We have our preschool students, which are about 58 students right now throughout the district. We have 2 students who are in residential treatment that were placed actually through DCYF. We do service some of our students in non-public private or parochial schools, and we do also service those students who are not within our district but who attend those private or parochial schools through a program called A Service Plan. Both of those are required by Rhode Island special education law. We total 543 students currently. That was our most recent census number. We submit our census in October and May to the Department of Education. We just recently submitted our census. I'm happy to report that we were error-free and no duplicates, so we're good with that reporting to the state. This is a real better way to kind of look at. 69% of our students who are on IEPs are served in our general education settings with support services. 14% of our students are in the special class. Again, 3% are in our non-public special education schools. We have no homebound hospitalized at the time of this reporting. 10% of our students are in our preschool. Less than 1% are in that residential setting. 1% in our non-public private schools, and less than 1% in our non-public service plan, so students who are outside of our district but attend a private school here. When we look at our disability counts,
Pardon?
Pardon?
Can you explain that last point again?
Sure, I knew that would be a question.
Students who are not North Kingstown residents but attend a school in North Kingstown, we're required to provide services to?
Yes, by federal IDEA legislation, we are required to provide a service plan based on a funding amount that is determined through the Department of Education. It averages around $700 a service. We are required to do a consultation process with our private and parochial schools that are within the district to service those students. So, for example, it is a limited service provision. So we may have a conversation with, let's say, West Bay Christian Academy regarding services. We may agree with them to provide speech and language services to those students. If the students need any additional services, that is the responsibility of their home district. So it's a limited piece. For students who reside in North Kingstown and attend our private and parochial schools in North Kingstown, they have the opportunity for both a service plan and an IEP, because there are two sets of laws in Rhode Island. One is our federal IDEA law that requires a service plan, and there is separate Rhode Island legislation requiring all students in private and parochial schools to have an IEP. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. It's very complicated, and part of it is because we have that two-law system in Rhode Island, which is unique only to Rhode Island, of course. So. When we look at this disability count, this is by school and by disability. This is our actual December data that is sent to the Rhode Island Department of Education. So if you notice, our total number is a little bit lower at 522. Our highest disability category across all our schools are students who are qualified as having a learning disability. These students have challenges in reading, writing, or math, typically, and they are our students who will probably make up our 69% in our general setting. Our next highest categories are speech and language impaired students at a total of about 116. Next is our developmental delay category. Those are students up to age 9 who qualify for services under what is called a developmental delay. It's kind of a global delay in their learning, social behaviors, and or motor, and gross motor and fine motor skills. Those make up 58 students. Other health impaired is a category for those students who have medical conditions, including ADHD, that does impact their learning. Excuse me. Emotionally disordered, I'm not really fond of that term. That is the federal term for our students who have social and emotional issues, and they make up about 34%. Our students with intellectual disabilities, 18 students. Multi-handicapped, we have 5, and then we have much lower numbers for those who are orthopedically impaired, hearing impaired, traumatic brain injury, and our students who are blind and visually impaired.
Quick question on those numbers. Would having a 504 put you on that?
These are not students with 504. These are just students who have individual education plans.
Just IEPs. Okay.
Mm-hmm, just IEPs. If we were to look at our 504 numbers, which I don't have them exactly with me, they are probably about in the 400 range. We do have quite a few students under 504 plans. 504 is a general education initiative, so they're not counted in our IDEA counts for RIDE.
And RTIs aren't counted.
This is not RTI. These are students who have qualified by having a disability and in need of specially designed instruction. And then just looking at it again, with our kids with our learning disabled being our highest count there. What I would like to highlight, because I really am proud of the fact that in North Kingstown, we really truly strive for that inclusive practices in our pre-K through 12 special education services. Most of our services for students is provided in a resource support. That's a special education teacher who provides direct instruction in their area of disability and support. That can be in class or out of class. So we typically hear our teachers talk about pulling out or pushing in with our students. We have specialized programming, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, for those students with our more significant disabilities, and those are district-wide programs across our district. We also have a very large amount of consultation services right now from outside agencies. These agencies work with our kids with disabilities such as autism, our kids with social and emotional issues, our students who are blind and visually impaired, and our students who are also deaf. Some of the agencies we work with is the Groden Center for our students with autism. Perkins School for the Blind for our students who are blind and visually impaired. The Rhode Island Vision Education Service Program out of Rhode Island College, again for students with visual impairments, and also our students who have both blindness and deaf, their dual sensory program. West Bay Collaborative has provided us with a lot of behavioral support this year for some of our children with social emotional challenges, providing one-to-one support within the classroom setting to keep those students in their home school. Creative Options is also another program that works with students who have social emotional challenges, and they have been in our schools helping staff create programs for those students. Pathways has been working with one of our programs for students with autism, providing support and on-site professional development for those students. We also work often with Perspectives and a program called RHD to provide transition services for our high school students out in the community. Preschool, I'm proud to say we have a Bright Star rating 4. This is a rating system in Rhode Island and across the nation that looks at facilities, curriculum, programming for students. Top rating is 5, but we are 4. And that is reported throughout the state, so when parents and families are looking at preschools, they can compare them to each other. The Department of Education is really looking for high-quality programs for early learning for our students and have access for that. There's been a lot of changes within our preschool programming and things that we need to do for the Department of Education. We currently have integrated preschool programs with community peers. It is about 50% students without disabilities and 50% students with disabilities. We have a classroom of 3 to 4-year-olds in the morning, 5 classrooms, and 5 classrooms of 4-year-olds in the afternoon. In addition to that, the students receive occupational therapy as needed, physical therapy as needed, speech language therapy as needed, both in our classrooms and also walk-in. In our elementaries, when we talk about our special programs, we have the Next Steps program at Hamilton Elementary School. That program is a K-5 program of 2 classrooms offering highly specialized programming and discrete trial opportunities with a focus on communication, life skills, and academic skills with inclusive opportunities for our students who have either significant challenges due to medical and physical disabilities, but also due to autism and communication issues. We have a Peer Pal program. It is a great program. We have students from other classrooms. Our 5th graders go in every morning to help the students with Morning Circle. And our students are also going out to our general education classrooms. They go out to lunch, they go out to resource, and there's really an active role of those classrooms within the Hamilton community. We also have Ieps program, which is a K-5 program at Forest Park that offers an intensive individualized instruction for students. These are students that need really individualized, specialized instruction outside of the general curriculum in reading and math in order to make the gains and progress that we would like them to see. We are looking at basic skill acquisition with an emphasis on the general education classroom for those students. Our middle school programs include a learning lab at DMS and a life skills program at DMS. DMS holds both our specialized programs in the district, and that's why when you look at the numbers, you'll see that their special education IEP numbers are higher than those at Woodford Middle School. The learning lab is, again, kind of like the Ieps program. It's a continuation for those students that focus, again, on intensive skill development, functional skills, that they need in order to be successful in the general classroom. They receive a high level of support, and many of these students are also in co-taught classrooms. Our special education teachers, both at the middle school and high school, do tend to do resource and also in-class co-teaching. The Life Skills program located at DMS is an extension of our Next Steps program, and this program offers an alternative functional skills-based curriculum for students who qualify for alternate assessment. So the students in the Life Skills program do not take the PARCC assessment, they take a specialized alternative state assessment. High school. Lots going on there, but I have to say I'm very proud of the work that our high school staff have done. They have done so much in the area of transition, which is a focus of the Department of Education. I'm sure many of you have read in the papers about the Department of Justice decree that Rhode Island is currently in. And within that program, there's a lot of training and support. Our teachers and our programs are often mentioned as stellar within the state. Our IEPs, when they are come and monitored, are of high quality. All our students who require career development plans have those plans, and we are often asked to pilot programs for the Department of Education moving forward. We do have diploma track students within our special education programs. They often receive services either, again, that resource model or in a collaborative setting or co-taught teaching setting across academic areas. We also have certificate track students. Those students are working on work-based experiences, and during their 18 to 21-year-old years, they're in our transition academy, and they go out in the community. You may see them in various community-based experiences. Some of the things that we've been doing with the Department of Education and piloting for them is self-directed IEPs. That was our focus of this year. Students play a role in developing their own IEP, and they often lead portions of their IEP meetings. We have created a transition assessment scope and sequence to make sure that we are doing all the assessments that we need to do to make sure that we have a systematic way of making sure that we have the information we need for students moving forward. Many of our students will be involved with adult service providers when they leave us. I was very proud of the fact that our high school folks did a transition presentation for the CLAC. It was an opportunity for the high school staff and parents to interact, ask questions, and learn about our annual transition goal. The state of Rhode Island requires that we develop an annual transition goal and action plan every year. Ours is looking beyond having the student involved in the IEP meetings, but encouraging more family participation in that transition IEP process and increased family knowledge. So this was really a first step towards meeting that goal that the high school has set.
Kim, can you explain CLAC,
Sure.
just for people who don't know what
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. CLAC. CLAC is our Special Ed Local Advisory Committee. It is a committee of parents, educators, community members, and school committee members that advise me and the special education department on issues that may come up. It is not about individual student issues, but about those issues that may impact our students with disabilities across the district. Some of their focus this past year has been on transportation and also on the ESY program. They had a subcommittee looking at our extended school year program for students with disabilities and looking at ways to streamline and better prepare for that. They've had some great suggestions for that program. They also do bring in speakers for parents. They did a needs assessment at the end of last year looking at topic areas that parents may be interested in. We've had speakers on speech language skills, social skills, estate planning, to name a few of the folks that came in and spoke this year to the group. Davisville Academy. I am happy to report that we started the year with 33 students, and we currently have 40 students. Throughout the year, we've had students move in and out, transitioning back to their home schools. So at our height, we've probably had 52 students enrolled. We've had students referred from South Kingstown and Jamestown, and we are actually beginning to get inquiries from other districts. We received some inquiries from Providence and Coventry asking about our program. So I'm pretty proud about our enrollment and what we've been able to do with the academy the past 2 years that I've been here. Some of the clinical supports that we've added and really kind of worked on the past 2 years is that the students receive 30 minutes of individualized mental health services, and they work on those lagging skills, things that they need to work on in order to lower anxiety, be more successful in school. Each student, in addition to an IEP, has an individual treatment plan. They have a check-in person, not necessarily their social worker, but a check-in person that's kind of an advisor for them that they can talk to on a daily basis. We have been working on specialized professional development, looking at collaborative problem solving through Ross Green. It's a program that really takes that behavioral kind of, if you do this, you get an award, you do this, you get a consequence, and really works on how do we solve the problem, how do we talk and work through this, and come up with a solution that's going to be successful for students in school. Our teachers are all trained in crisis prevention and intervention, or CPI. We have had some mental health training and how students develop both in anxiety, depression, self-harm, eating disorders, and body image. We've had students come to us this year with a real large differences in what has been happening for them. We have a grade level social skills curriculum. They've been doing mindfulness. Sometimes I walk through, the kids are doing yoga. They are working through zones of regulation, which is a way for students to identify their levels of anxiety. They're looking at super thinking, and Superflex curriculum is an elementary program where students associate some of their thoughts through kind of superhero characters. It's a way for them to kind of pair the superhero and how they're feeling and what they should be doing. We have some small group clinical sessions with our clinical psychologist, who is new to us this year, Dr. Helton. She started in January. Students are focusing on anxiety, depression, and PTSD. I would say that probably about 40% of the students at Davisville Academy suffer from some form of anxiety. We do weekly grade level clinical planning. We are trying to do team building with the students. They have a connections activity every week. And of course, our low student-teacher ratio in small class gives them support and individualized instruction. That really has helped the students. So I've seen lots of positives, and kids have really great things to say about coming to the program and the support that they get. But now my vision for the future. I would really like to see the district decrease our reliance on consultants and really kind of start to build the district's capacity. I think around mental health is a big issue that we have. Currently, we have a social worker that splits his time between the two middle schools and the high school. So they have less than a third of their time, when you think about travel, that he has to be in those schools. The high school has presented with a lot of issues. I think a lot of the schools, when I walk in, they say we really need help with our kids' social emotionals. We did have a suicide in the high school this year. And most schools, high schools the size of our high school, has at least a full-time social worker, if not more. The National Association of School Social Workers would say that we need one social worker for every 250 students in the building. However, a full-time social worker would really help to provide some of the group work and more individual therapy to help students be successful in school. I would like to see, in addition to the behavior specialist and behavior specialist assistant that we have now, I think we need to add some specialists in the area of autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. A lot of students are coming to us with that diagnosis, and they have very specific treatment modalities and things that they need to do. I think that would be great to add to our existing behavioral support. We need to continue to look at our positive behavior supports and interventions. We need staff to work with the students with social emotional needs. We have lots of students that have had multiple hospitalizations in a psychiatric facility over the school year. We have students who are coming to us really with significant family and social emotional issues, and we really do need that increase in support to help them be successful in school. Most of the meetings that I've been called to this year really focuses around kids and their social emotional needs, more than their reading and math. Teachers really want more support in that area. We need some team support. Our principals are chairing many of our IEP teams and evaluation teams. I typically get called in when they kind of start getting, they need a little bit more expertise. But when you think about the amount of students with disabilities and the amount of 504 plans and the amount of RTI meetings that our principals need to chair, it really takes them out of their work of teaching and learning. So it would be really great to have some extra support in the form of maybe someone who could facilitate meetings for them, help staff with our paperwork, I know that Mary Ann and I, that's the first thing when we have a legal case, is looking at that paperwork to make sure that it's okay, and it's not always 100% where we would like to see it walking into those situations. I think we need to continue our professional development. My focus for our professional development days, besides paperwork, would be understanding issues of mental health and the impact on our students' learning. Cultural competencies, we are really seeing shifts in our student population, both socioeconomically and also culturally, with race and ethnicity. Again, the IDA regulations showing timelines and paperwork, and positive behavioral supports for our students so that they're successful in school. I really also think that there needs to be an expansion in our programs. We have great resource programs in our inclusion model, and we have great specialized programs, but there's some of those kids that need a little bit something different. They may not need all of what we have in our specialized programs. We don't have the programs out there for our kids who may need a home base because of their behavioral issues, who may need more support in those areas. So I'd really like to look at that continuum for our students in order to keep them in school. And then again, the last thing that's very important to me is our Aspen Student Data Information System. That system was put in place prior to me coming. There's two pieces to that. There's the student information system that the district uses, and that goes really, really well. Where we fall down a little bit is in our special education program and services. It needs some updating in forms. I'd like to get teachers and staff using that 100%. Now that all our teachers have Chromebooks, they should be able to access this system. Because right now within my department, we are doing double data entry. We need to enter all those numbers you saw into the state census system, but we're also entering much of the same information into the Aspen system. If we can get the Aspen system up to where we need it to be, we can ask the state to use that as our census system like we do for many of our other state reporting. But we need to have 2 years of identical data in both our current census system and the Aspen system to switch over. So that's a goal of mine. That will make my life easier and our department more efficient. Yes?
Just real quick,
Sure.
when it comes to the social emotional and the autism spectrum and the needs, we do outsource a lot. Do we have any BCBs on staff?
We do not have any BCABs on staff at this time. And I find that to be a deficit for us with the kids, particularly since a lot of
People
our...
don't know that's a board certified
Yeah.
analyst.
Yeah. And a lot of our kids are getting those services at home, and it's hard to help mirror that within our schools for the kids. So that is one area that I think we really have to add some support, and that's one of our consulting, particularly from Pathways, is that particular expertise. Any other questions?
I just want
Yeah,
to
thank you.
thank Dr. Carson for making this presentation. As you know, we've had some transition in special ed, and I thought it was a good idea to present this overview and give us some ideas about direction we want to be going in, particularly as we move forward with budgeting and so forth. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next would be citizens' comments.
Quick presentation.
I'm sorry, skip recognition.
Just a couple of quick recognitions. I want to thank and recognize James Wallace. I think this will be your last school committee meeting this evening. So thank you very much for your participation. Good luck.
Good luck in school.
Next step in your journey.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, a pleasure.
Do a lot of work after summer.
Mr.
Jones kept telling you.
So also, Dr. Humbert and I had the pleasure of attending the SIFMA Foundation's, they're the people who put together the stock market game. And this has been around since the 70s, and it's a real big deal in Rhode Island. And now just about every school district has some participation in this, including elementary and middle school. And North Kingstown was recognized for its high school teams, and 3 students in particular, Dave Murray, Nolan Barry, and Ben Shapiro, were all recognized today at their ceremony. So congratulations to them, and to Mr. Fusco and Mr. Garland for
Thank you. Congratulations. Anyone for citizen comments? Anyone in the audience who didn't know we have a list? Yes. So if you would like to speak, if you could please come to the microphone and state your name and address. And we ask if you could please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, just for the sake of brevity.
Single shot of 3.
Or you can all talk at the same time.
Hi, I'm Sarah Popovic. I live 20 Worsley Avenue in North Kingstown. I'm a junior at the high school. I'm advocating today because the cancellation of the newspaper production class at the high school. We actually didn't make an appointment because we just found out about this committee meeting today, and we wanted to come. As you know, juniors have to do a democracy project throughout their democracy class junior year, and I am doing Save the Current Wave. It was run as a club this year, and it was not as successful.
I'm Chloe Parkins. I'm also a junior at NKHS, and I live 70 Meadowlane Drive, North Kingstown, and we're all kind of advocating for the same thing here. So.
And my name is Jacob Maguire. I'm a senior at North Kingstown High School this year, and my address is 10 Catherine Drive.
So it ran as a club this year, and we only produced 2 issues compared to the 8 to 10 that we can produce when it is a class. We are advocating journalists, and we want to major in journalism, and we think it's very important to have this class.
Yes. So right now we just adopted the 8-period schedule for next year, and a huge part in adopting that, as we were told, is to personalize your schedule and make it towards what you want to do in the future and take the classes that you need. And we need newspaper class. It's a huge aspect of journalism and getting into colleges. We're both honor students. We have lots of extracurricular activities, so it's hard to run it as a club and devote your full time and attention to it. And to have those student examples to give to colleges when they ask for them is super important for us.
And for my senior project this past year, I actually organized the Current Wave as a club, and I served as the editor-in-chief. And prior to this year, I took newspaper production back when it was a course for 2 years. And although I think that the club went as well as it could have gone based on the conflicts that the students in the club had and just the limitations that operating our school newspaper as an after-school club as opposed to a class that meets every other day imposed. So I think that it went as well as it could have gone, but based on my past experience in the course, I think that reinstating the newspaper production course at our school will be an asset to our students. And I definitely understand that school districts need to be fiscally responsible. My mom is actually a school teacher at the high school, so I understand what it's like operating and working in a school district. But I think that we would definitely appreciate having the opportunity to try to recruit more students for...
We fundraise as much as possible. I know it's a lot bigger than what we can raise money for, but
we could
any little bit
sell
helps.
advertisements.
Yeah, and it's also options of combining because the introduction to journalism class, a prerequisite to be in the newspaper production class, has been eliminated as well. So that can diminish the whole school newspaper for years to come, and we do not want that to happen. So the option of possibly combining the intro class with the newspaper class, I was in that freshman year when I took the prerequisite intro to journalism. There were 6 kids in the newspaper and the rest were intro kids, and I got to work one-on-one with Jake and write articles for the newspaper, and it was great. It was a great experience, so we want to look more into that, of what we can do to help this class get back.
And obviously this is a very brief statement. We'd be willing to make an appointment and come back again. We have a full letter that we've written that we're going to give to the superintendent along with a petition. We got about 180 signatures from the school. And we are willing, we'll mail a copy to anyone else that would like one.
If you hand that to me, I will make sure the committee gets a copy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The petition's ready.
Okay.
And I know many members attend Democracy Night. I think it's June 8th. So if you will be there, I will be there with my board and Save the Current Wave. So Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick,
Yep, question? Yep.
before you go. So, if you plan to come back, I have a question for you that I don't expect you to answer tonight, but if you get a chance to speak with us or others, one of my concerns about this is that, let me allude to Blockbuster video, the Blockbuster effect. Blockbuster used to rent VHS movies and then DVDs, and then everything went to streaming and they went out of business. So right now, newspaper readership is really on the decline because so many people have turned to digital resources to get news and read articles, and I'm sure you're suffering the same kind of thing. So what is next for a student who wants to pursue journalism in college? Beyond high school, what's next? Because it seems like newspapers are going to become a thing of the past pretty soon.
I can actually take that one. So last year, I was chosen to represent Rhode Island at the Al Newharth Free Spirit and Journalism Conference in Washington, D.C. One student is chosen from each state to go to the museum, and the conference is named after Al Newharth, who was the founder of USA Today. And at this conference, I learned about how the industry of journalism is changing. And although print newspapers are certainly declining, there's still a significant amount of growth in other areas of the journalism industry, including online platforms and journalistic articles that are spread through social media sites. And although I'm not sure if journalism is something that I'm interested in pursuing professionally, both Chloe and Sarah are both interested in pursuing journalism professionally, as well as some other students in our newspaper club. And one way that the current wave has tried to combat the decline of print journalism is that we operate a website, and the website URL is currentwave.org. And we also have a Facebook page and a Twitter account that we can update as much as possible in order to share our articles with the public.
I totally agree with that. You get the question, isn't journalism dying when you tell people that you want to do that as your major? I think
pretty common.
It's just changing forms. It's not dying. People still have to get their news somehow. Just because it's not on paper anymore doesn't mean it's not there.
So what did you say the name of the class was?
The newspaper production class.
Right, so maybe that needs to change to be more like journalism class.
We have
it. So I think the newspaper, it's called newspaper because, yes, we do produce a newspaper, but we also have a website, we also have a Twitter account, we also have a Facebook account where we post all of our articles and pictures and everything that's going. So they're on many different sources to please everyone.
So, since my daughter wrote for the Current Wave,
Yes.
I remember
Emily.
I've gone to your website, I looked at currentwave.org, maybe participate in the poll or two. But I would, just if you go back and do a little more research, to come back to us maybe, it's going to emphasize this. We talk about the marine technology course that the high school potentially may be offering in the fall through New England Tech. New England Tech also has a social, print, digital media, other kind of programs. So one option you may research is whether you can mirror something that NEIT is doing with marine technology in that venue and bring it to North Kingstown through the ACN network.
Do you think that would be implementable for next year?
I don't know, you have to research it.
Because we are working with
your
time right now.
high school leadership with the superintendent, but you never know, right? You never know if you get the numbers, what a provider might do for you, right?
Exactly. Because we are working with time right now, Chloe and I are going to be seniors next year.
I'll be gone.
But he's here supporting us.
Sisters, he's taking the whole class with him.
So, another option to look at.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, no, come on. And again, if you could please state your name and address.
Sure. My name is Lisa Allen. I live at 132 Vista Circle in North Kingstown. This will be very brief. I was just here to speak on behalf of the boys tennis team, just asking for your support. And I know the repairs for the tennis court are up on your agenda later on this evening. So we were just asking for your support in getting those repairs done, hopefully this next season. I've had two sons that have played tennis, one's since moved on to college. My younger son is going to be a senior next year, and we're hoping that he gets, to play one home match at his high school. He has yet to play one. But, so we're just, the situation has been ongoing for a few years, and, we've kind of been battling this. We know it's very expensive, and, we've been dealing with that for a while, but we know that hopefully there's some hope there, and, we know that that's up on the docket for you guys to discuss. So we're hoping that we can get your support in getting those courts fixed so that the kids can have some usable courts. Okay, the school's a fantastic, institution, and it's a shame that there's not courts there that the kids can use and they have to travel off-site. So it would be wonderful if we could have your support in getting those repairs done. So that's pretty much all I want to say.
Thank you very much.
Here on behalf of them. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Next items are our routine items. First, if I could have a motion to seal the executive session minutes of May 23rd, 2017. Any discussion? All of those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And I can disclose that there were no votes taken in the executive session this evening. Next is our consent agenda. Do any members have any items they would like to exempt from the consent agenda? B2. Any others?
B6.
E as in Edward, 6. Anything else? If I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items B, 2, and E6. That was a tie. Motion by Ms. Hoskins, second by Mr. Jones, I believe. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously.
Mary, do you know the time frame for those repairs?
This summer.
So that's what we're looking at.
And you know what? Maybe we can have a call a gypsy lawsuit because you don't. But yes, I'll keep everybody informed over the summer.
Okay. Next, we have our first exempted item, which is item B2.
I'll just do a motion to.
Can do it either way.
Motion to deny the request.
Motion to deny the request.
Sure. Motion to deny the request.
Second.
I have a motion to deny the request for B2 with a second by Mrs. McGovern. Discussion was, we had some legal advice with respect to this earlier. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is, the motion to deny is approved in the Developmental Delay. Next item that was exempted is item E6.
I don't think I can make a motion to deny resignation.
It's called slavery.
So I'll just make a motion to motion to approve E6. Yeah.
I have a motion and a second discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, offer our thanks for Mr. Haig for the work he's done in the last few years and taking over the AD spot, and especially the transition we had. We went from a full-time to not, and where the program was at North Kingstown with one of the if not the most robust, one of the most robust D1, mainly sports program in the state. The work that Mr. Haig has done, juggling a lot of stuff to not only maintain the program, but to push it forward on a lot of different fronts, and a lot of the initiatives he's shown, and the collaborative work he's done with a lot of people in the state and the community to make the co-curricular part, the athletic part of the North Kingstown High School and middle school education experience that much better. So, give him a shout out before we let him, unfortunately, move on. Not move on too far, but move on from his age.
Okay, I also want to concur. They're difficult shoes to fill. I hope that whoever steps into that role is as organized and thorough and able to juggle as many different things at the same time as Mr. Haig has been able to do, particularly with all those other responsibilities that go with it. So thank him very much. So we have a motion and a second. Unless there's any other further discussion, all those in favor of approving the resignation? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is the approval of substitute staffing rates for going forward. If I could have a motion with respect to that. Motion, Ms. Stevens. Second, Ms. Hoskins. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is item G. I could have a motion to approve the New Charm Technology contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Gentleman, second, Mrs. Hoskins. Discussion? I just want to point out a bit of work has gone into this, and I think it's an excellent way of utilizing our capacity and ability to provide services to another district that also provide a benefit to North Kingstown, and in the long run allow us to do some things that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So I think it's a unique opportunity to leverage what we have for the benefit of all. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it passes unanimously. Unfinished business, anything with regard to the 2016-2017 school budget? 2017-2018 school budget? CIP, existing bond or future bonds? Policy, BCF, that's the one we just got. So we just got it. There's no
Yeah,
issue
I
approving
think-
it tonight, so we do.
Yeah, I think just let sure it gets the right review and
Yeah.
we'll be all set for pending any comments.
Next time. So we all got an email today with a proposal from the policy subcommittee with respect to this policy. So if I could get a motion to table this item, and we'll approve it at a later date. We can all look at it.
So moved.
Mr. Jones, I'll give. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. McGovern. Any discussion on tabling? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously to table. New business, we don't have anything. Reports in your packet are special reports regarding enrollment and disposal. Are there any question with respect to those? And our financial reports, which are also in your packet. I point out all the time to anyone who wants to question transparency, please take a look at these reports, which are put in our public agenda packets regularly, which include our basically updated UCOA lines, as well as a complete check register of the districts, both by vendor alphabetically and by dollar amount numerically, which shows you just about anything that you could possibly want to know. Any comments or questions with regard to those reports? Then we've reached the end of our agenda. I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Stevens got one in. Motion, Mrs. Stevens, second, Mrs. Hoskins. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you folks for coming. Have a good evening.